How's it going, YouTube? It is Drew. And now tell me if you've heard this before. When you started college or when you were thinking about going to college, you had a lot of people tell you or ask you, what are you going to major in? What are you going to study? And you may have had something to say in response, or you may not have, and you just kind of made something up, or maybe your family told you what you were going to study and you just went with that. And it's interesting because when I was a recruiter and I would go to high schools and meet with a lot of students at college fairs, I would ask students that same question, and they would tell me some general majors. They would either say it was business or the pre-health, like physical therapy or medical school, or they would tell me it would be engineering and then maybe education. Nothing else. And so it made me wonder, do these students really know what they want to major in? And I understand that seems like a very difficult decision to make, but also at the same time, it's kind of not. And that's the point of this video, is I kind of want to put this into perspective and really sort of change how you view picking a major if you don't know. So let's say you're looking at college and you don't know what you want to major in. Now, I understand that in many situations there are a lot of family members who are financially supporting a college education, and there really isn't much say in what you want to study if you are being supported, and I get that. So we'll set that aside, and let's say you do have the freedom to choose what you want to study, but you don't know what to do. Well, I would say a few things. For starters, a lot of colleges today, they do recognize that this is very common, that a lot of students enter college, they have no idea what they're going to do, and then they can easily fall off track. So what they've done is they've sort of created a general studies exploratory major where you can kind of declare a major without declaring a major. And that is saying, well, you're going to do sort of this intro major within a specific field, let's say STEM or humanities. So you're not committing to a specific program, but you're beginning to head down the path of the general field of interest of what you do ultimately want to study. So it kind of gets you going, but not really forcing you into a major that you may not want. Now, if that is not an option, the next thing I would recommend is just pick a major where you have a general interest. Do you have a desire to major in music? Do you like people, but you don't really know what you want to do with that? Well, why not cultural anthropology or sociology? Or what if you have a passion for marine biology or marine life, but you don't want to be a marine biologist? Well, what about environmental science? It's not a specific major that's committing you to a career, but it's a specific major that's getting you the content knowledge that will take you down the road where you can see if this is for you or if it's not. And if you are completely in the dark, another great resource that I would recommend is called ONET. Now, ONET is sponsored by the Department of Labor, and within this website, you can really look at a lot of industries that are growing, a lot of industries that are popular. There's even an interest profiler where you can walk through a lot of prompts and rate how interesting a lot of tasks are to you. And this profiler will categorize that for you and kind of point you in a direction and say, according to these results, these are careers that match your strengths and your interests. And it is pretty accurate, and it's very interesting. And in fact, even if you know what you want to do, I encourage you to take it anyway, just to see what those results are, because you may be surprised and you may not be surprised at the same time. So it is a great resource, and I have it linked down below in the description, so be sure to check it out. Now, when we're looking at timelines of choosing a major, and if you don't know what that major is, if you go through your entire first year of college without a major, that is absolutely fine. What you should be doing in that first year is taking a lot of the general requirements, the basic sciences, the basic maths, the English, all of those courses that every degree requires, and all of those courses that you usually think are worthless or I shouldn't say worthless, but are a waste of time, and they're really boring because it has nothing to do with what you're interested in and you don't see how it's going to connect to a career. Those are the classes you should be taking, especially if you're undecided. You may have some room to take some electives, but don't overload on electives because they may not always translate or apply to a major once you choose it. And so if you want to take the history of dogs, or if you want to take Harry Potter and the history of Quidditch as your electives, those may not really apply as electives if you're going to major in mathematics. So be careful with what those electives are that you're taking. Again, in many videos I always stress, talk to your advisor just to be sure. And I would say if you go into the first semester of your second year and you're still undecided, I think you're okay. There are still some requirements, some general requirements you need to take, but your goal, I think at the last minute, would be to have an idea of what you want to major in or declare a major by that spring or second semester of your second year. Because in your third and your fourth years, if you're pursuing a bachelor's, that's where you're going to dive into the major specific classes. Those are known as the upper division classes. And a lot of those classes require prerequisites. So if you want to take a biochemistry course, you're going to need to have taken general chemistry first. And that's what you should have knocked out in that first year. So don't sidestep if you can. A lot of these classes are required in that first year, so you really can't get out of it. But if you do have the option to push that down the road, don't do that. I advise against that. Knock it out in your first year, and it frees up the years after that to really start to explore with certain electives or certain majors. Now, if you do dive into a major and you decide you don't like it, there is still time to change. And a lot of twisting can be done with some of the classes that you've taken if you want to switch majors. But only your advisor knows this, and only your advisor can kind of work that magic. I would say don't get too far along into your college experience and wanting to switch majors or switching majors every semester. That can get kind of messy on your transcript, and it can really delay your graduation date. So just make sure you have some sort of a plan. You know the general area or the general program you want to major in, what that major map looks like, and that you've talked to your advisor about that. So overall, don't panic. It's okay if you don't know. It's actually really common if you don't know going into college. And even in that first semester, or even that first year, and you still don't know, don't feel like you're an outsider. Don't feel like you suddenly don't belong at college because you don't know what you want to major in. And don't feel like you're lesser than because you don't know that. Some students just know. Some students have known since they were 8 years old that they wanted to go to law school. Others don't. Some knew from age of 15 that they wanted to be pilots. And maybe that's not you. But that doesn't mean you're lesser than. It doesn't mean you're slower. It doesn't mean you don't belong in college. It's just a different path. So I encourage you to explore ONET, talk to your advisor, and just be open-minded. Be open to your interests, be open to what's possible for you. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And if you want to see more content like this, just let me know in the comments, and I will catch you next time.